What's up? Oh, always so loud. Everybody wants to buy something. All right. Let me do this. Unmute. Cory,
Yes, sir.
you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Are you in Texas?
I am sitting in San Antonio.
That's what I like to hear.
Planning on doing a little Boudreaux here before long.
Oh, nice, nice. Is that my guacamole place?
Yes.
Oh, I love that place. Can you give me the recipe for that guacamole? It's the greatest guacamole.
Yeah. I'm sure they would just give it to me.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. There's special sauce. Okay, so we'll let everyone kind of get in here. Everyone can hear everyone, it looks like. Got everyone muted out, so we're good. Let me get the chat box up. There we go. Let's go. Just give a few more minutes. I know there's a lot more people registered, so I just want to make sure everyone gets in, get things rolling. We're going to do some giveaways today. So that's cool. Giveaways are always fun. Let's just give about 60 seconds and we'll get rolling. I'm going to put this blind down. So that's better. Sweet. Yeah, there we go. I got it all fixed. No one can unmute now. All right, Cory. Let me make sure I didn't just mute you back up, and then we're gonna get rolling.
I'm good.
You're good.
Yep.
Okay. Good deal. Okay, so we're recording. I got this recorded for the 10 millionth time that I record these things. They're all recorded. Unless I screw it up, but the intention was always to record them. So I want to bring Cory on. For those of you guys that were on last week, I kind of told you guys I got some cool stuff planned for you guys this week. I think my Thursday is still on, but I got to double check. They're going to be at an event. So, but if not, that will be next Tuesday. But I wanted to bring Cory on for just a couple different reasons. You know, Cory's been in JK from basically the beginning. I mean, like within the first 60 days of us opening the doors, you know, Cory was there. Started out much like many of you guys that started out online and had never really done anything before. Was running his own safety supply business in the oil business. The oil fields.
Yep.
Stuff. Tough business. Then obviously oil has been taken out at the knees, which obviously affected business. So luckily kind of have this backup plan already in motion. And then now the rest is real history. You don't have that oil safety supply business anymore.
Sold it.
And obviously no need to. But I think for those of you guys that were in Vegas last year, Cory, we invited him to come to Vegas and speak on stage. I'm thinking you're going to be there this year to speak on stage again. That's the game plan, unless you're going on some cruise or something like that.
No cruise is planned this summer, man.
Yep. So my intention for bringing Cory on is I think it's always really nice to have more sounding boards, not always hear, the same thing from Dan every week or from whoever. It's just, having other people on that are making big waves. Now I'll be 100% up front with you guys. Cory's made more money in local than I have at this point. So I've never had the size of months that Cory has in local specifically. So Cory's a guy that I look to for advice on some of the stuff that he's doing now. He's got his hands very deep into the game. He's scaled his business up to some pretty impressive numbers. And so, it's great to have a sounding board like him in the JK fam that we can get on and interview and learn from. I'm going to play this more as I'm going to be reading your guys' chats, and I'm going to be relaying questions for you guys if you have questions for Cory, and just kind of let him take us through some stuff. Now, Cory and I spoke right before going on, and he does have some like kind of screen share type stuff that he's going to share with us. And he's going to walk us through some stuff that he looks at when he takes on a client or when he's going after a marketplace or whatnot. So this will be very much a time to learn, not just a time to get talked at, and questions answered. Cory's going to kind of show some of the stuff that he's doing that's not necessarily stuff that I trained you guys, which is from the right guy, it's good stuff, right? From the wrong person, I was listening to the Millionaire Fastlane today. He's talking about people that give advice that are broke. And it's like, those are the wrong types of people to take advice from in a business. So I go to guys like Cory, guys that are making big waves, guys like Abdul, and some of the other folks I'm going to introduce you to over the next several weeks to get good advice and learn new stuff. That's what this community is all about. So without further ado, thanks for being on, Cory. I know you're out in San Antonio, out of your home market on business. So let's get it rolling, man.
Yeah, man. We're in San Antonio right now. In fact, I'm sitting in our hotel room here down on the Riverwalk. Came out here today actually to work with our biggest client that we had landed. Actually, we landed this client right before we went out and did JK last year. And they have hundreds of locations. They're in multiple countries. They're huge. And before anybody asks, I'm not sharing who it is. This is something that I've kept this on the down low from day one because it's a very, 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 very tiny niche. And so there's not a lot of space for other people to be in this niche. So I am going to try to make sure and protect that niche as much as I can. But I want to show you guys the same process tonight. And I'm actually going to walk you through what I would do with the same kind of client. I'm going to show you a client tonight, and any of you that are brave enough to go after them, you're more than welcome to go after them all you want. But that's why we were down here. I was literally here today to sit down with our client, go through kind of a 6-7 month overview, meet with all of their district managers, their general managers. There was about 50 of them in the room. Get hammered with questions about, hey, what are you doing with our online stuff? How's it doing? Why do we see this? Why do we see that? And then really help educate them on how they can go back in now with their managers on the ground and teach them, right? So a lot of what I do in my business now, because we have 12 staff, just to kind of give you an overview kind of where we're at. We have 12 staff now, part-time, full-time. I've got guys that are specialists in every piece of our business now. So we've got a guy that all he does is Facebook stuff all day long, Facebook ad wise. I've got a guy that all he does, or I got a young lady that all she does is social media updates. I've got another guy that is the account manager for every SEO big client that we have. He takes care of all of the SEO as far as overseeing it, and then he's the contact for that. There's all kinds of those things that we put together in our business over time that has allowed us to keep continuing to grow. And so we've landed, I hadn't even added it up. I know that over the last 2 to 3 weeks, we've landed probably another $100,000 to $120,000 a year in business from just some clients that just came out of thin air and found us. And then I've got another client on the hook right now for he'll probably be about a $3,500 a month client, which is decent. So as you get bigger, of course, you can charge more money. And so we don't mess with anything now that's anyone basically that's less than maybe $1,000 to $1,500 a month, depending on the type of client. And that's kind of what our market is that we're going after. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to screen share with you guys real quick. I'm going to show you somebody and walk you through how I would go about looking at a client. And this is probably somebody that you guys probably have seen. This is Top Golf. Probably some of you have gone. Dan said he was just there a couple weeks ago at the Top Golf somewhere playing around. So I want to show you how I look at a client. So view this as similar to what we're doing with the client that we have right now, because this is going to be the same kind of process that I would go through with this client and how I would walk through everything. Okay, so Top Golf is if you haven't been there, it's like a driving range / bar / grill / games / I don't know, all kinds of things. This is geared towards everybody from children to adults to businesses, corporate clients, to whatever. And so I want to show you what they are doing right and what they're doing wrong. And I hope through all of this that you guys see kind of some of the things that we're doing and kind of the way I look at especially these multi-location clients. We've got a couple of these now. And I love them, to be honest. Now, every multi-location client that I have right now has brick and mortar locations. So let's start with that right up front. And that's one of the reasons why I picked this particular company, is because I want you to see the company. And then we're going to, once we go through all of this, we're going to brainstorm a little bit. I'm going to talk to you about ways that you could go about gaining or finding clients like this, and then how to approach them, and really kind of what you need to say when you go in and talk to some of these guys, because you're going to need to make sure that you've done your homework. Most of these companies have marketing staff on the premises, so they in their corporate headquarters or somewhere. And so, like this big client we have today, that's what we basically were doing, is working with the marketing staff. We went in with her, talked with all these district managers, general managers, and it would work the same exact way with Top Golf, right? So let's just look at, I'm just going to do a really quick overview so you can see kind of what I would look at right from the very beginning for a multi-location website type business. And then what I would look at, just some little tweaks that I would immediately point out and go, hey, here are some things, because I want to bring value when I come and talk to these people, right? So let's just talk about really quickly. And the reason I picked this is because I had actually searched for San Antonio golf driving ranges, because that's what it is. It's a driving range. It's more than that, but that's really what it is. And so you would think for San Antonio golf driving range, or ranges, which is kind of the top keyword that I found in this area, you would think that they would show up, right? But they're not showing up here. And then if you scroll down here, they sit halfway down the page. Now, when I look at this, I don't know what you guys see, and I know Dan, especially the way he teaches this in JK, this is basically the title tag, right? So this is what is the title tag on the website, which is great. The ultimate in golf, games, food, and fun. That's great for branding what Top Golf is. It's not very good necessarily for ranking it for some of the other things that they might want to rank for. Also, this is going to be the meta description, right? So this meta description has nothing to do with driving ranges. I don't know if you noticed that, but the only word that actually even shows up out of what I typed in was golf. Now, I know what these guys are going after, partly because I've used one of the programs that I know Dan has recommended. And I know I think it's in 3.0. I'm not sure. I've gone through a little bit of 3.0, but haven't been able to look at a bunch of it yet. But I use SpyFu, and you can use the free program. You don't need to go buy it. If you buy it, great, but you don't need to buy it. And so I use SpyFu to kind of get an idea. And again, this is a tool. It doesn't give exacts. Just realize that you're going to look at some of your sites and you're going to go, wow, it shows nothing, or it shows a bunch, or it shows this or that. Just make sure that if you're using a tool, always compare apples to apples, right? So if you're going to compare one site to another, make sure you're comparing apples to apples. So let's just look. I want to show you what I would look at. Look at this traffic, man. These guys are getting a ridiculous amount of traffic. Not only are they getting a ridiculous amount of traffic, but they're also spending quite a bit of money on AdWords every month. And this is an estimated monthly AdWords budget. I have another program that I use that I actually can see all of the AdWords budget, all of the, I can see everything that has to do with AdWords. But this is literally a chunk of traffic that these guys are getting. So I want to show you what I would do. Like, I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to look, what are they actually ranking for, right? So these are things that SpyFu says, hey, these are top keywords that this particular site is ranking for. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go, these are what paid keywords that they're going after, some of the top ones that they're going after in their market. Now, I'm going to work backwards. So I'm going to look at this and go, oh, that's kind of interesting. Well, I wonder what shows up for company party ideas in San Antonio, right? So I searched company party ideas, San Antonio. I noticed that their ad did not come up here. And I noticed that they definitely did not show up here. But I did notice that you scroll down here a little ways, and they actually have a page called San Antonio Plan and Event. So somebody at least has a clue what they're doing there. Maybe not a major clue, but they have a little bit of a clue what they're doing there. And so parties and events, Top Golf San Antonio. Again, this is going to be the actual title of that page. It's a party and events page, right? And so this is going to be their permalink to that page, which is super important. that actually doesn't really give us much information other than the fact that it gives us this whole plan and event. Um, and it gives us the actual name of the city, at least, that they're trying to plan an event. But again, you're looking at meta description for that page. And this is pulling something, you can tell because it's the way it actually pulls this out. They probably didn't intentionally put this in. And so when you're doing a multi-page or a multi-location website, something that you need to keep in mind is every page matters, right? So this particular page, here's your title tag, right? Here's all of the good stuff on page, the home page, which we know is like prime real estate. And if you'll notice, if you'll look at what they've actually written here, golf games, right? Bowling lane, impressive food and drink. I mean, it depends on what they're wanting to rank for, but there's not really much here. And of course, this is their main website, so it's not going to be focused on San Antonio. It's just going to be focused on their overall business, right? And so as you scroll down here, they don't have a whole lot on the home page. Like there's not a lot here. There's definitely not a lot of content on it. Now, we went back on our particular company that we worked with, the biggest company that we worked with, we went back and started looking at their homepage and tweaking words as we could, as they would allow us to. And we started tweaking words. And it's going to work the same exact way. If I went into Topgolf, I would do the same thing. I would go through the homepage. After I did my education and after I did the research, I would want to know, what are you guys wanting to rank for? What are the keywords that you're going after? What kind of business are you going after? And then I'm going to dig into all of that. I can see a little bit of it here with Spy Food because I can see where they're spending their money. And where they're spending their money are things that they want to go after. So office parties, golf course, golf school, kids' birthday parties, right? So these are things that I know at least that they have an interest in that I could start with that would give me an idea, hey, these are things that this particular company thinks are important, that they actually want to get these markets. And so if I know that up front, then I can go do my research and see where they're ranking and see why they're ranking where they're ranking. And then I can go into those individual pages, right? So this is their individual parties and events page for San Antonio, right? So this is the actual San Antonio page. And we know our title tag already because we saw it in the search. Again, we're going to look at keywords, not really squat up here other than Topgolf San Antonio.
Hey, scroll down a second. Scroll down a little bit.
Oh, scroll. Yep.
All right. Those donuts right there are the best donuts ever. Last week, I just wanted to point that out if you were you can get
so
them with the jelly. They're completely horrible for you, but let me tell you, they're fantastic. Just keep going.
Okay. So I'm going to look through this and I'm going to look at these keywords, right? I'm going to try to figure out what do they have on here? Parties, company events, fundraisers, social get-togethers. Not really squat right here, right? Start planning your event. That's really the only thing that they got up there. Not really anything there. And then I'm going to come down here. Now, they started getting to at least a few things here. Turnkey event, that might be something. I don't know. I probably wouldn't type that in, right? Private event spaces, that might be something. Anyway, I'm going to look. I want to know what keywords are on the page and what the page is like so that when I can go and talk to them, that I can talk from experience. I can show them, look, here's part of the reason why you're not ranking Mr. Topgolf San Antonio, because at this point, you guys really have nothing on your page that says the exact things that you do and that you're trying to rank for. I mean, even this stuff, party goers, blah, blah, blah. There's just really, at least they've got San Antonio's hottest sports entertainment venue. I mean, that's at least something. I don't know. It's still not giving you good keywords though. And they could even utilize this where they're not utilizing this. They could utilize the all of these testimonials down there to get additional keywords into this page without having to clutter the rest of the page. And they still haven't really put anything. There's nothing down here, right? At least they have a fundraiser. Make our fundraiser a success. Somebody might type in something like that. So I'm going to look at each separate page. So to give you an idea, we literally spent 3 months just doing Google local listings. That's literally, we went through and we spent 3 months setting up 300 plus Google local listings for the company that we're after. And I'm not sure exactly how many of these there are, Top Golfs there are. You could look through the site and see, but um, you would want to go through and figure out what are they doing with their local listings. Like at least they have a bunch of reviews for this specific local listing. At least that's good, right? They have some of the stuff set up right. What's interesting is the classification or the category they have right here is sports bar, which is kind of interesting. They probably have multiple categories in there, but that's for whatever reason the one that Google's pulling. But they may not be. Maybe they need to be. Maybe they're not set up right in their categories. Could be a really simple fix. Maybe, I don't know. You could look at it and see. But again, sprawling entertainment venue with a high-tech driving range and swanky lounge with drinks and games. This is better. At least they have driving range, lounge, drinks and games. They have a few things in there. But again, you're still not talking about a whole lot of things that are going on as far as on this page, right? They could have a whole lot more information on here about San Antonio, specifically about what they do in San Antonio, how they do it in San Antonio. And we literally went through, it took us 3 months with 4, 5, 6 staff working on this every day to go through and fix all of the local listings. And then of course do citations for every single local listing, and then set up YouTube channels for every single local listing. We did all of that for that company. You'd want to do the same thing for Topgolf. You'd want to go through and get all of that set up per individual, right? Per individual local listing. And so you'd have your local listing, you tweak it, make sure everything's set up right. You'd set up your citations for that local listing. You'd set up your YouTube channel for that local listing. And then we actually do updates on these local listings to try to drive traffic and get keywords in there that we want. We hashtag everything with the keywords that we're going after, right? So this is just one of those things, but look how far down the list they are. I mean, they're way down the list here for San Antonio golf driving range. Again, Topgolf's a little different. Maybe they're going after a different market share. Maybe that's not really who they're going after. Maybe they're really trying to get some people that are really looking for kind of an entertainment night. That's fine. If you knew that, then you could go after that and you could search it just like we did the parties and events a minute ago. And we could do the same thing with this other stuff, right? Kids parties ideas, or kids birthday parties, office party ideas, and see where they're ranking and how they're ranking. Pushing something up on a page like this, because they're already ranked on page 1, pushing that up from down here to up here would not be that difficult. The reason I know that's because we've done it over and over again with these multi-location. It's a matter of going in and tweaking that page, pushing power to that page, and making sure that there's plenty of content about what you're really trying to rank for on that page. So I know we're going into some stuff here that's probably a little more intense than what you guys are maybe used to doing, but you literally would go through location by location and figure out exactly what you got, right? And exactly what you're going after. This right here, oh, did you have something?
Yeah, well, there's just a couple questions. I've answered some of them.
Okay, good.
But, like some of the main questions are like, did you use separate phone numbers for all locations? Now, remember, this is a brick and mortar. This is an SEO deal. This is not like a weekend deal. So
yes.
You're going to, every business has its own phone number. You don't have one business with one phone number. Like Pizza Hut doesn't have its one phone number, right? So same type of thing there. And anytime you're going to be doing citations and things like that, you're going to want to separate those things out. Number 2, Cory didn't have to go and get addresses for these because, again, these aren't lead gen properties. These are pre-existing businesses. So, that type of stuff. Let's see here. How do you hold – or Chris asked, did you get your influence from JK or from outside? And then Lovela, I can't speak. Cory, how do you hold on to a good staff once they get trained by you? What's stopping them from venturing out on their own? Are they also exposed to JK teachings? So 2 questions.
You can see my wife here has mentioned me. I don't know if y'all keep seeing those pop.
Yeah, I keep seeing
So basically on the influence, we've done it all different ways. We own some influence that we've bought over time. That we've built and we do ourselves. I rent some influence. I do all. We've we even have some strategies that I haven't seen anywhere else or have been taught anywhere else that we've learned just because we've created and built so many stinking websites at this point that for SEO purposes, there's so many linking opportunities out there that don't cost money or that do cost money. You just got to know where to put that money. And so it's super important on something like this that you have some control over your anchor text, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get into that in a second, because I let me address the other one before I get into that. But as far as staff goes, I personally, every one of my staff, we have a very clear vision of the kind of staff that we want, and we have a very clear vision of the kind of business we want, right? And so I've literally turned down probably, I'd say I turned down probably $25,000 to $30,000 a month in business in the last 3 to 4 months, because it didn't fit with my belief system. And most of you guys know I ran children's homes. We did ministry work forever. And some of those clients that came to us wanted us to market things that I just was not comfortable marketing. Yeah, it could have been good money for us, but that wasn't important to me. The money's not what I'm after. It's helping people. So that's kind of what we've kind of the focus that we've had. So I do the same thing with my staffing. Every single staff member that I have, other than one, which was brought over from a business partner, every other staff member I have, I either had their kids in my youth group, they were in my youth group, or I knew them through church. And I've got staff now spread out across 2 or 3 states. So that's how we've done it, because I looked at it as, hey, I want to find people that I know have the same values as me. And so like we do something different probably than a lot of the other businesses do. Our staff meeting every Tuesday morning we have on Zoom, just like we're doing right now. And we have a staff meeting with all of our staff coming together, and we have a prayer, and we're a team. Like this is, to me, it's very, very important to create the culture that we want to create as a business model. And even today, as I'm talking to this big client of ours, I'm telling them, hey, I've done ministry, and these are things that are important to me. And I think that's one of the reasons why they trust me. That's one of the reasons why they continue to do business with me, is because they know I'm genuine. It's who I am. And we want our staff to be the same way. So I don't mind training, teaching, pouring into. We've spent probably $15,000, $20,000 last year on different kinds of trainings, different stuff that we brought into our crew last year, just to train them, just to give them new tools, new things that maybe they hadn't learned or didn't know or whatever. And we're going to continue to do that. We're going to do that this year. I'm not worried about them leaving, because I want to treat them so stinking well. Like we do all kinds of stuff, and we can get into this in a different call, but we do all kinds of stuff for our staff. We give bonuses. We're starting to set up a profit sharing program. We're doing all kinds of stuff because I want them to stay with me forever. I want them to be really good.
One thing I will say to like staff is that most humans aren't entrepreneurs. So although we believe everyone's like us, and it's like, we're all entrepreneurs at heart, and we want to be the captain of our own ship. Most people want security.
That's right.
Most people want a paycheck every week, every month. That's what most people actually want. Is that secureness of a paycheck, and someone else knowing that someone else is behind it, and that if they just show up, they're going to get it. I mean, being an entrepreneur isn't what most people are cut out to be. So, some of us, it takes a little bit longer, but like if you got that gut entrepreneurial side of you, like most of the people that otherwise you wouldn't be on this call right now, this meeting, we're cut from a different cloth. And you have to start to understand that, because if you don't, you think everyone thinks like you, and you try to guard all your secrets. Dude, most people can't do what we do. It's just a fact. They don't have the wherewithal. They don't have the guts to do it. They don't have a lot of what it takes to do this. And some of us we got our early training wheels on in entrepreneurship. And then you got guys that have are a little bit farther along the process, like Cory, who's starting to get some staff. Many of you guys, in order to go to the next level, you're going to have staff. Like you're not going to be a solopreneur forever. That doesn't mean you have to have a huge office and things like that. But, if so many of you guys struggle in sales, it could be time that you put something on hold, and you scrape together that $1,500 and you hire that salesperson for you, right. So that you start becoming a real business, and that you start being the quarterback of your business. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, my businesses would not run without staff behind the scenes running them. I don't want to do all the bunch of the crap that I got to do every day. So I find other people to do it for me. But that took, again, guts, just as it took guts to like buy job killing and like say, I'm going to learn this whole new skill set. That took a lot of guts for many of you guys. You had to kind of step out on a little bit of a ledge of unknownness. That's going to continue happening in your entrepreneurial journey. So just to answer that question, because it used to be something I used to think about a lot too. I'm very entrepreneurial. Like, well, dude, if I just hire someone and train them, they're just going to go and do it themselves. It's like not as much as you think. Most people can't pull stuff off. Look how many of you guys have been on these calls week in and week out and getting actual mentorship and training and like the roadmap and still struggle, right? It's not easy, right? So keep that in the back of your mind. Just because you train someone doesn't mean they can go replicate you. You know?
Yeah, I think Dan really pushed me hard in the beginning to hire because he kept telling me, he was like, dude, you're not going to grow until you hire. And so I took a leap. And then I tell you, I'll just be blunt with you. I didn't train fast enough. And so the perfect day to me, and I tell my staff this all the time, the perfect day to me is the day that we bring a client in that I know nothing about and that I don't even know what we're doing with them. And I just get updated as we go along because that's where our staff is at now. We're at a point where most of the clients I talk to bring them in because I'm kind of the face of the business, the sales guy of the business. But there have been a few clients that we brought in where once they're past me, they go to my staff, my account manager. He takes care of the intake process for that. And then boom, it's just pushed out to all of our staff. And then it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to know all that stuff's working when we're in San Antonio. I don't have to worry about it. Like everything's doing what's supposed to do.
Real quick too, I want to just kind of interject and have you answer this. But like, I think sometimes people think that they have to have business in general before they hire a staff. And it's untrue.
Yeah. And you pushed me hard. I mean, we were at a point where we were probably at, I don't know, $10,000, $12,000 a month. And you were like, dude, you've got to quit doing this all yourself. And that's when we hired our first staff. And we really didn't have the money at that point between what we were doing with everything we were doing. We didn't really have the actual net profit at that point to hire the guy we hired. We just went out on a step of faith and did it. And it grew the business. And every time we've done it, it's grown the business. Like every time we keep tacking on more gross profit and it just keeps growing. And
really good thing for everyone to write down. Staff for the business you want, not the business you have.
Yes.
So, and that comes from a consultant from McDonald's that said it to a friend of mine who shared it with me. He's like, dude, you need staff for the business you want, not the business you have. And then you need to push. It's going to make you push to bring in the business. And you know, when other people rely on you, it's one thing I can say. When you feel the weight of having to support other people, look what you do for your families. Like you guys all provide for your families because the pressure's on you to provide, right? So you figure it out. And the same thing is true with a business. It's just a different type of family.
Exactly right.
You figure it out, right? You figure out ways to provide. So like the one point of encouragement I would say to many of you guys is like scale sooner than later. You know, once you have the understanding of how this all works, scale sooner than later. And also take a look at all these businesses you're asking to spend money with you and just take a peek at what it took for them to start their brick and mortar location or, you know, their restaurant. I was looking at this restaurant that came for sale, not because I want to buy it. I just like looking at stuff for sale. And their build out before their doors open, before their lease of $7,000 a month was due, was $1.2 million, just the build out. Okay. And some of us are like, oh, that's a ton of money. And it is a ton of money, but those are the business owners that you're speaking to. Those are the risks that they're taking before the doors are even open. And some of us can't fathom that as entrepreneurs. And we're in a very awesome place in how we do business because we don't have to have the $1 million build out. We have our 2 computer screens or 1 computer screen.
Absolutely.
And some internet connection, and we're in business. That's the beautiful thing about what we do. So we don't have to take those massive risks, but be willing to pull some chips off the table, whether that's from your job, whether that's from your tax return that's coming due. Pull some chips off the table and start toying with the idea of maybe bringing a part-time person on. Or find that person that's maybe really good at what you're really bad at and it's falling short in your business and start moving in that direction. Because if you don't, sometimes your inconsistencies in how you approach your day or approach your business are the reason why you're failing. And you trying to tackle your own demons and just get better at it and hustle harder and 10x it ain't going to do the trick. Sometimes it's the pressure of, you know what, I'm going to find this person. I'm going to be a great manager and a great quarterback, and they're going to work for me because they got a book of business. And you go and find that person that maybe worked for Yellow Pages or whatever and wants to make some side income helping you get some work or whatever. There's a million different ways to start staffing up based on your experiences and based on your what you're good or bad at. But I would just say start looking at that sooner than later, instead of just only being a solopreneur. Take some chips off the table earlier if you can. Your business will move a lot faster. Real quick, there's a question just from Cory. I want to make sure I get to it. Do you spin the descriptions for each directory listing? Like if you're doing a GMB and you're doing it for 300 locations, are you writing a different description for each one of those, or what are you doing on that?
If it's not a lot of locations, yes. For these big locations, like the big client we have with so many locations, what we did is we wrote, because it's a very, because of the type of service it is, it's very highly regulated. So we have to have attorneys look at everything we put online for this client. And so that's something to keep in mind is with that, we took and wrote something and had it okayed. And then we tweaked it for each location, right? So we would tweak it for San Antonio, Austin, Houston, whatever it would be. We would tweak it for each one of those locations so that it has some very specific things to do for that group. But honestly, if you can, I think it's better if you write a little bit different description for each one. I think it works better. It just depends on what you can do. What you guys got to realize, and what I've learned about the multi-location stuff is most companies have no clue what they're doing at all whatsoever. The company that we took this account away from is a massive New York-based SEO lead gen. They're huge. They're multi-million dollar company. And so we took them away when we were still at 30, 40,000, whatever it was at the time. And so we took them away and started kind of trying to figure all this mess out. They haven't done anything. And so what you got to realize is most of these companies, like if you started digging into this and you started looking at the San Antonio location and you started looking for citations for the San Antonio location, you probably would only find a handful or more. And I don't spend time doing all that stuff. I know that a lot of you ask questions about White Spark and all those different things, all those different programs inside the group. I don't ever look at any of that mess. I look at where they ranked and what are they doing. If they need more power, then let's build more citations. I don't have time to sit around and study and dissect everything. That's not the way I function. So I'm going to look at this. I'm going to look at the location. I'm going to look at everything that's going on. I'm going to get an idea of where they're ranked. I'm going to try to figure out, why are they not pushed up here? Is it a keyword issue? Is it the fact that they don't have enough actual wording on the local listing? They don't have enough citations? Is it the fact that they didn't do a good job on the San Antonio page about putting the actual location on there? At least they put the location on there so that there's a location address and everything on here. But, some of these accounts that I've found, they don't do squat. Like, they just don't have a clue what they're doing. And so anything you do, it's going to probably be better than what they do. So start out with whatever you got to do and take some action on it, because you'll notice that some will pop immediately, and then some are going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. You're going to have to go back in and build more citations. You're going to have to do more stuff on that local listing. And that's just a part of it. That's just a part of the game. We've got all of these locations right now. We're probably only tapping maybe 30% of the market. This, Top Golf in San Antonio, I can guarantee you right now, they're not tapping the market. I mean, look at this. Their local listing's not showing here, and their website's way down the list here, and it doesn't even explain. Again, I don't know if they're going after driving ranges, but if they were, they're doing a horrible job of it. If they're going after company party ideas, it's not here. It's way down the list here, and you've got to go looking for it down here at Top Golf San Antonio. And so these are things that I would look at and then make a decision, a discernment off of that, and go, okay, here's some things that they could do. And my guess would be is probably every one of the locations is going to have the same issues, because whoever set all this stuff up probably set it up all the same. And that's what I've learned through the other companies that we've worked with so far, is most of them have set up everything the same way, and they don't know what they're doing. And so anything you do is going to be an improvement over what they have already done. And it's going to allow you to grow that business more. We're going to take and we're going to look at all of that. I'm going to break down the location. I'm going to break down some of their competitors. I'm going to look and compare SpyFu. I'm going to take, or SEMrush, or whatever program you feel comfortable with. I'm going to take and compare apples to apples and look at their traffic compared to maybe another company that they're directly going up against, right? And then I'm going to compare those and see, where are they at compared to the other companies? What backlinks can I steal? What are other things that the other companies are going after? Maybe this company's not going after. And I'm going to dig, man. I'm going to dig. It took me probably about 2.5 weeks of digging and learning about their business and all of that before I even presented to the company that I went after. And then when I walked in there and started presenting, they knew that I knew what I was talking about because I was telling them things about their business they did not know. I told them things today about their business they did not know. Even after 8 months, they still don't know some of the things that I know about their business that we can share. And it lets them know, hey, these guys are watching our business. They know what they're doing. They have a game plan moving forward. And so we literally are going in now location by location and just targeting those locations and looking at everything from their backlinks, right? We're going to look at all of their backlinks to get an idea. If you haven't used Majestic, I'm pretty sure 3.0 you're teaching that, aren't you, Dan?
Yeah, I have it all in 3.0.
Sweet. So Majestic is one of the tools. I have not bought any tools other than Majestic since I started in JK. That's the only tool I own. Now, lately, we went in and did a group buy thing, which is still just as cheap as what I was paying for Majestic. I went in and did a group buy thing. I still haven't even opened any of the other tools. This is about all I use. And again, some of you are asking all the time, well, trust flows change and this flows and that changes. And that's just the way it works, man. Tools are tools. They're not perfect. They're just going to fluctuate all over the place. So you have to be able to take and discern the information and pull it out of there the best you can. And that's all you can really work with. But I'm going to look at their links and I'm going to see, one of the interesting things here is all of their anchor texts, Topgolf, Topgolf website, Topgolf Dallas website, Topgolf. It's all Topgolf. I looked down through here a minute ago. It's all Topgolf, except for this one, mini golf, which was interesting. They don't even have a mini golf. I don't even know why that's in there. Topgolf.
Right, people do it for fun.
Yeah, that's probably true. But see, this is
so quick question. I want to, because I got a lot of questions coming down the pike here.
Okay.
Is your staff local or remote to you?
I only have 3 staff. Well, actually count my wife. She does all of our books. And then we do something else with our books too. But we have 4 staff in San Angelo and then everybody else is remote.
Okay. Do you use Yext for citations?
Nope. I do everything. I know people dog on it all the time. I still use the same exact service that I started with, which was local citation services 2.5 years ago.
Right.
Still use them. So.
Yeah. Citations are citations.
That's right. It doesn't. Yeah. It's all the same.
Okay. Let's see here. Let me get a couple of these more questions that have came in. Sorry if I missed any. There's like 32 when I looked up. Are you outsourcing anything?
Citations.
To that other company? Anything
yeah.
else?
That's it. I do everything else in-house.
Okay. Sorry if I missed any. Write it at the bottom if I did. Greg's question's kind of long, but he has a lot of different processes set up, and he's just wondering if he should hire someone in-house to handle all these things that's kind of bogging him down, or in-house to handle most of the SEO so they can focus more on sales. I mean, you have to read the question maybe, Cory, but to give him more insight. But he's basically has someone that writes his content on site, another guy who handles all his article content, another guy who builds his citations, another guy who does social media platforms and IFTTs. Think about whether or not I need to hire someone in-house to handle all this multiple. Greg, my advice would come to you based on a few things. Like I would want to know a little bit more about your business to see if there's people already in your business that could do this for you without taking on another expense and hiring someone. I'm all about having other people help me, but I'm all about being really, really lean in doing it. I don't want to overpay. I want as much money to the bottom line as possible. And I want the same thing for you guys. So I'm not a proponent of just, do what the government does and hire as many people as possible, on and on and on and on. Like, I want to run lean. I want to run it like a freaking business, and I want to make as much money as possible, because that's why I'm an entrepreneur. I'm in money, in business to make money.
Right.
So, all right, let's go. How do you get the courage up to, or grow the balls to talk to such a big company, knowing that they're dealing with a huge SEO company in New York?
Yeah. This is one of the things that I think, kind of going back, guys, you need to realize, if you can rank a website anywhere, it works the exact same way. It's no different. You just break it down by page, by anchor text, by title tag, by meta description, by local listing. You just do everything that you did for that one website that you ranked in San Antonio or wherever, and you do it 300 times because you do it for 300 locations. It's the same exact thing. It's no different. The process works the exact same way. And so you got to get past that idea that you can't do it. It's all in your head. It's the same exact thing. We literally have tripled this company's business in 6 months online. And we've got the stats to show it.
Yeah, but so like questions are like, well, how do I know who to set the appointment with? I don't know who to call.
Yeah.
I'll call. But again, this goes back to, if you guys go to 3.0, there's the whole that pyramid I built for you guys that shows you guys your warm market or your low hanging fruit, all the way down to the bottom level. And so many of us take that stuff for granted, where we don't really look at the people that we already know that are looking for these types of business or these types of services,
Yep.
And so many of you guys have those in your back pocket, and then you guys go down to the cold traffic. So this specific company that Cory has a multiple location deal, it's from a referral.
That's right. Almost, I would say probably 90% of all the clients I have right now are referrals.
Right. So lots of different ways to get referrals, guys. I mean, I saw someone do it right before I jumped on, but jump on your Facebook wall, ask someone, post on your wall. If you want to go after a certain niche, or maybe you found an opportunity like Cory's showing you here with like this driving range, and you say, hey, does anyone connected or know anyone that owns the driving ranges in town?
Yep.
Maybe Top Golf isn't the customer. Maybe it's one of the smaller ones that are about to get taken out at the knees by Top Golf, and you go and show them all the stuff Top Golf's doing to dominate a market pretty quickly, and they're nowhere to be found. Yep. Right? You can go vice versa with the way you approach this stuff. But
and there's actually companies out there now that, it's kind of funny. I've watched this in Lubbock right now. There's a company that Top Golf is not in Lubbock, Texas, but there's another company opening one they're basically modeling their whole business after Top Golf. And so it's kind of more of a startup. They only have X amount of locations, but they're dropping millions of dollars into every location. They would be a company you could go after just like that probably doesn't have a clue what they're doing as far as SEO wise goes. And really, it's all about educating and taking a risk. Because I think what I see more often than not inside the JK group is people are afraid to go and just go for it. And with this, we just went for it. We were just like, forget it. If we don't get it, who cares? But we'll never get it if we don't ask. Totally. And so it took us 2.5, 3 weeks worth of working the client. But
right. And so talk to us about that process. Was it a lot of screencasts sending to them? Was it phone calls? I mean, what was your main, I guess, once you got the referral in, were you just breaking down what their previous company had been doing for them and showing where you could do it better? Kind of walk.
Exactly. Yeah. So we literally, I got the referral, and we knew who the people were, the players were. He helped us set up an actual appointment. And so I took about 2 weeks to get all of my ducks in a row, make sure I understood the client, make sure I knew all the things that I'm showing you. I started researching, like, who are their competition? What kind of power does their website have? What kind of power does the competition have? What are keywords that they might go after? What are things that they're doing right? What are things that they're doing wrong? What are other things that they could be doing that maybe they just don't even realize they need to be doing? And so all of those things, I went into that first meeting and I was prepared. I had a packet that I handed them and said, look, here's what you're doing and here's what you're not doing. And we spent about 30, 45 minutes of me explaining that. By the end of that conversation, their eyes were wide because they hadn't had any clue. They knew something wasn't right. They were spending upwards some months of $60,000, $70,000 on Google AdWords. and they weren't getting near the return that we're getting now. And their cost of acquisition was stupid at that point compared to what it is now. We drove their cost of acquisition from 70, 80 bucks per transaction down to less than 20 bucks. It's like $17 and something in December. And so when you got to look at this as you're a business owner, you're bringing value to the table, and you got to be prepped and prepared. So we met the first time, and I talked to them about all that stuff, and then they said, okay, come back to us and give us an idea of what you would do beyond what this is. And so I came back, we did that, gave them a little bit more idea of what I would do. And then we just kind of met again. I think we met one more time maybe. And then we did a lot of emailing back and forth. I never did a screencast for this particular company. Normally, every company that I work with, I do a screencast. This particular company, it was really hard to get everybody in the same room, but they wanted to talk face to face. And I'll tell you, this is just my personal experience. The customers that I've been able to sit down with face to face have stayed with me longer than any of the other customers that I have. And that means sometimes, like, I've got a client right now, we're looking at closing in Louisiana. And if we close this guy, I already told him, I'll come out and train all your staff. I'll come down and sit with you. I'll do all that because it's worth the money. And so we'll go out to Louisiana, we'll sit down with them, and I'll sit across the table from them and shake their hand, kiss babies, and basically build a rapport. And I'm going to create that connection. I'm going to create that environment to where he's going to want to stay with me, because I'm going to be looking around the corner all the time. What do we need to do next? What do we need to do next? What do we need to do next? And helping them see how to grow their business. And so, it may not be Topgolf. It may be somebody else. And it's those referrals are all around us. I bet money there's somebody on this call right now that actually knows somebody that's either a manager or works at a Topgolf somewhere that you could get at least in the door at a local place or at another type of Topgolf type place where you could get in the door and talk to somebody about what they're doing or not they're not doing, and
Dude,
see what
we got Howard Schultz on the phone from Starbucks by just calling.
Right.
No joke.
Yeah.
We said, hey, can we talk to Howard's secretary? And they transferred it to his office and he picked up. So
isn't that what the dude talks about? You were talking about the book earlier, Millionaire Fastlane. Isn't that one of the things that he talks about is like pushing your boundaries?
Yeah, he talks about that, but there's another book. It's the Chet Holmes book where he talks about, I think it was Chet Holmes, where he said he used to teach a course and he'd say, I'll give you guys like a passing grade. All you got to do is get an A-lister on the phone. That's it. People wouldn't call it up because they were so afraid. And then the few that did got through, and they were just normal people. Right. You know, they found a way through, and they talked to an A-list celebrity, and it was just kind of like going through that exercise. But most people failed because they never tried it. They were just like, no, I just didn't. I knew I wouldn't be able to get through. Now, let me get a couple of these questions nailed out. Sorry if I missed some, and I'm skipping ones that have already been answered. So this is recorded. You can go back and get some of those if I skip over yours. Trying to go as fast as possible. How important is branding your agency website, Cory? Branding for your company, not your client. So like your agency site, how important is it that you brand that in the marketplace? I haven't spent any time doing it. Yeah, I never even had one. So no, and honestly, every client I've ever had that come through the website has always been a flake. I've never had a single good client that's ever approached me through the website. The only thing that I use the website for is legitimacy. People will go find my website and they'll look at it and go, hey, he's a legitimate guy. He's got a real business. And then I don't have to mess with trying to do that through, just talking to him or through a screencast or whatever. All right, so clarification on multi-locale. I understand that each local needs an address of its own, GMB. I understand that each local needs citations. Where I'm lost is the actual web page itself. Like the Topgolf we're all looking at, it shows Topgolf / San Antonio as an example. Would it be its own page? Yes. Within the site? Or would it be better to build a standalone site? This is where I beat my head into the logical route. I see a competitor of a couple of the guys I just started working with, and their site simply does a redirect to the main page, but with a local address. So, Ryan, there's a really good document I wrote for you. It's about 4 pages long. Dude, you can do either one, honestly. It's not, you're not going to like, honestly, if you got a big brand like a Topgolf that wants their name, or Pizza Hut or whatever, you can do it that way. We've seen it work both ways, right? You see lead gen sites of people that threw up sites in JK, and those are doing great. And then you see these national sites. At the end of the day, it really comes down to your backlinking.
It does.
Backlinking in your content and the what you titled your page.
It does.
There's pros and cons to both of them, and I really, Helen will give us that PDF so you guys can take a look at that if you haven't. But it comes down to backlinking at the end of the day. You could do it either way. It comes down to backlinking content and whatnot. But Cory, what's anything else on that?
The cool part about doing one website with individual pages inside the website, the cool part about that is you're only pointing links to one site. You're not having to duplicate everything to 50 or 500 websites. That is one of the advantages that I've seen with doing it this way. And you can rank. It's just a matter of what Dan just said. You got to do the backlinking. If you can't control, like, to get this ranked, we would want to start pointing links at this page with very specific anchor text, just like Dan teaches in the training. It's the same exact idea. And that's all you do. It's no different. It's just you're ranking a page instead of a site.
And for Kevin, because Kevin Wright asked this question on pretty much every webinar for the last 9 months that we've done. Backlinks can come from anywhere, man. You can get them from us. You can go out and do blog posts. You can do link circles. You can freaking get backlinks. A backlink's a backlink's a backlink, as long as you're not getting it from a scuzzy place, and as long as it doesn't have a bunch of crap that you don't want attached to it. You keep building backlinks, and you follow that PDF that we gave you guys about, I think it was about 4 or 5 weeks ago. It's in the training now. You can download it. Just follow that process. Wherever you get the backlinks from, the rules on backlinks. If they got good trust flow, good citation flow, the golden ratio as I train it to you guys, if that's there, if it's a do follow, you're great. It's not that no follow is not great or whatever, but it's going to water things down for your citation flow. But a backlink's a backlink. Dude, let's get the backlink question off the table. It's literally the most simplistic thing ever with a tool like this now. Just look at the numbers. You like the numbers? Point it. You don't like the numbers? Don't point it. But you got to keep pointing them for the words that you want to rank for until you rank for the words that you want to rank for.
Yep.
Little confused. Question coming in. Little confused. So would the project that Cory is working on be a national deal, or is it local but in multiple locations? Talking about this Top Golf deal. I think you're just using it as an example too, Sean. Just so you're.
Yeah, I'm just using this as an example. So for me, like this company, we know that they have all of these. Topgolf has all of these locations, and they're in the UK. So this would be something that you would be working all of these locations. But what you're going to find is you start to work multiple locations as the website itself starts to rank all over the place. And so it's not. I don't know that you would call it a national or local deal. It just is a deal, man. You're just working all of these locations individually inside that website. You're working those individual Google Pluses, those individual citations, all that kind of stuff for each location. And then you're working that overall website to get it ranked wherever for whatever the keywords are, the main ones. But
Sean, let me give some more insight on this. There's franchises, there's company owned, right? Yeah. So you need to do a little digging if you're going to go after multiple location. Doesn't always mean you go after freaking 900-pound gorilla like Top Golf. He was just
right. Even
the 900-pound gorillas have problems with the way they've set things up, right? And they could be doing better, and you could point that stuff out. Again, so this in my opinion, I personally probably wouldn't go after Top Golf because I just probably wouldn't. I'd probably go after every one of the other places in the marketplace that's missing down their leg because Top Golf just came to town. They're literally going to take all the business. And I would probably show them how jacked up they were and how, you could beat them. But speaking of like national or international or like Cory's deal, I think it's just a state or maybe a multi.
They have some locations outside the U.S.
Okay. Well, regardless, that deal, that's privately owned, right?
Yep.
It's not a franchise.
Nope.
So a franchise, as you guys know, it's going to be different owners in all different locations, and they might, based on their franchise, have certain rules that they got to abide by. So I've worked with like sandwich franchises and things like that, and they were allowed to have their own website, a standalone website outside the franchise. But then there's others in the bylaws that it has to all come to Home Central. So the franchise can control what's being said and the brand is being controlled. So you got to kind of look into the type of business. Like you're not going to go after a big dog or a multi-location without doing a little bit of due diligence on your own. And that includes looking at their business. Is it a franchise? And you can figure that out really simply, like Google it. Is Topgolf a franchise? Unfortunately, they're not, because we looked at it because we think it's a freaking genius idea. We wanted to buy one ourselves and try to get into that business. But it's not. It's company owned. All of them are company owned at this point, I believe, unless they've changed something recently. But figure that stuff out. But don't let these, like, is it a national deal or is it a multi-state deal? Don't let it. It's the same stuff. Like, yeah. And Cory, speak on that. I feel like I'd bang my head against the wall saying the same thing over time. You get to do it now. Bang your head against the
wall. It is. It's the same stuff. And the cool part about this is I'll give you a perfect example of what Dan's talking about. I don't know if y'all realize this, but Chick-fil-A's have, at least the Chick-fil-A owner that I know, he does his own local social media marketing. Like, he has a marketing guy inside his staff locally that does it. That guy's clueless. He doesn't know what he's doing. And so we actually been trying to get an appointment to sit down and figure out if we could take that over. But that is the perfect example. It's something that is franchised out, but each franchise kind of has control of what they do with their marketing dollars. And so it's kind of crazy, but different markets. And as you get into some of these different markets, man, there's all kinds of opportunities out there. There's more opportunities, and Dan's exactly right. I'm not going to go after Topgolf. I can guarantee that. I've got easier fish to fry than Topgolf.
Yeah.
That's just the way it works. So
we're just trying to use it as an example of someone that you guys can see visually.
Yeah.
Pulling off Cory's clients. Okay, let me a couple other questions coming in, and I want to make sure I don't miss. I'm scrolling up here. Here's a good one. Approximately what % of all your clients are lead gen sites versus SEO clients? I think you talked about this in Vegas, but go ahead.
Lead gen sites for SEO clients?
No. Which percentage of your clients are lead gen versus just SEO clients?
Yeah, our lead gen business has probably dropped down to less than maybe 10 to 15%. Almost everything that we're doing now is SEO based. Now, we may do a hybrid model, which we talked about in Vegas. I love hybrid models where I go in and I do SEO for the business, and then I may build a lead gen site maybe in another city or another area or for a specific service or whatever for that company, so that I can tie them into what I'm doing so that I have leverage. The danger always with SEO is somebody can drop you tomorrow, right? The cool part about having the leverage with the hybrid is they want that business that you're sending them through that lead gen site. They don't want to give it up. So I'll hybrid it, bring the two together. And I love deals like that if I can do it. Some deals you just can't. Some are just going to be straight up SEO. Yep. But I'll tell you, my money, if you look at bottom line dollars in my business, it's all SEO just about. Like, that's where my money comes from, is SEO work.
Awesome. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going down, answering questions. What do you do to train your clients? You mentioned if you would have to go to Louisiana, you train your clients. What specifically are you talking about?
Yeah, that particular client, he's got people in his staff that need help knowing how to take care of the leads that we're going to be sending them. And so we would go through the whole process. Like, this is how, we're going to market you. This is how a lead's going to come in. This is what you're going to need to do as soon as that lead comes in. This is how you need to respond to them. These are the processes that you can put in place. Like, if they need a back-end drip campaign or something where they're doing an email campaign, those are the kinds of things that we would sit down with them and teach them how to do on site. And so we do that a lot with different types of clients. And you'll learn, what I've learned is, the more I educate and the more I'm in their offices and the more I'm training and the more I'm doing all that stuff, the longer they stay with me. We've got clients now that have been with us literally 2.5 years. Right. And they're not going anywhere. In fact, one of them, my crazy limo dude that's been with me since the beginning, we're building a new lead gen site for him right now. And he's one of those hybrid deals. We've got lead gen sites and we got SEO, and we've kept him for 2.5 years. And, we're up to, I think, $1,750 or something now, I think, a month with him. So it's not a huge client for us, but
I'll take it off your hands if you want.
No, it's a really great client, right? I'll take $1,750 clients all day long.
$20,000 a year.
That's right.
Okay. Earlier you mentioned assigning account managers to each account you have. What type of responsibilities do you entrust your account managers with?
When I get a client now, I literally hand over the client and we sit down. Sorry, this guy's busy. Let me jump out of this. Is there anything else we need to show on this before we?
Nah, man. I don't.
Let me jump back into the other. Let me stop the screen share right quick.
You're cool.
All right. So one of the things that our account manager does as soon as we get as soon as I bring a client in, I turn around and basically I push that information. We have a whole process. I've got a whole program that we use to push all this information. We push it to the account manager. He calls the client, does the intake process. He's the one that sets up the template within our program that says, you know, this staff does this staff does this staff does this. He's the one that oversees it all to make sure it's all getting done, and then he reports it back to me. So as an account manager, basically once I do the sell and bring the client in, I'm done. Like I don't really do much with that client in the sense of I try not to do any day-to-day SEO anymore. I try not to do any, ads or any kind of Facebook or any kind of stuff like that unless I just need to, as we're training staff, that kind of thing.
Okay. What metrics do you use for reporting to client to show growth?
I am a big believer in using what Google gives us for free, which is Webmaster Tools, Google Analytics. And we want to try, if you can, in pretty much every client that we bring in now, we talk to them about what kind of metrics do they use in their business. So if their metric is actually converted sales, if their metric is growth for visitors, if their metric is whatever, I'm going to give it to them. And so if we, like for instance, we just brought in a new client, they do credit counseling kind of stuff. And we told them, we were like, okay, we want reports. We want to be able to see how many clients you have brought in through the web, and then how many of those are closed. So we know what kind of dollars you're spending, what the cost of acquisition is. If you'll approach clients initially and talk to them about that kind of stuff, they'll go, wow, you want more than just to send me a list that says, wow, you've had 20,000 visitors this month. And those converted, if you can do that, it'll count a whole lot more. It'll keep that customer a whole lot more happy.
Multiple location backlink strategy. Do you link to the home page or the location page if you're doing it on a single site?
All of the above.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want the location page to rank for, let's say, I don't know, golfing San Antonio, I would do I would follow the cheat sheet we gave you guys, and I'd link to that page, that location page, if you want that to rank.
Absolutely.
Page to rank, then you're going to do both. I think sometimes we get too caught up. I saw it was a good post, it's a solid strategy, but it's like, set up your site, then put a blog, and then write a 10,000 word article, then link to your homepage, and then link to your freaking blog page. It's like, don't overcomplicate. Like, that's not doing anything special other than giving yourself a little link, internal link. So, I mean, don't overcomplicate this process. A backlink's a backlink's a backlink. If you want a page to rank, you got a backlink to it. So simple. Okay. Let's see here. Cory, do you dominate every first page of Google or simply get to the top for all the keywords? It's kind of the same thing, but.
Yeah, there's some clients that you'll find that, especially certain keywords, that you're able just to you'll take over page one. By the time that you add your YouTube videos, you get your citations built, you get your Facebook page cranking, you get everything, you'll start to see things pop and it'll start to take over. There are other clients that I have that we might have just the organic ranking and just the local listing. It just depends on the client, what it is, whether it's worth it or not. I mean, we have some stuff that's ranked nationally that I wasn't trying to rank nationally. It just happened.
Do you give your clients a time frame for ranking?
We do a 1-year contract with everybody now, and I tell them we basically have a 1-year no opt-out within the first 6 months. And so literally I tell the clients, I try to tell the clients, and I've learned this over time, that I want to give them really good expectations, really solid expectations. And so I try not to talk it up. I'm like, look, we could see movement in the first 30, 45, 60 days, but I wouldn't expect anything for the first 90 days or more. And what you end up doing is, if you do get movement, which we know most of the time you're going to get movement in the first 30 days or so, they're all excited about it. But if you go in and tell them, hey, I'm going to rank your site in 45 days, you better rank it. You're going to look like a moron otherwise. And we did that in the beginning. I would give expectations that weren't, there's no need to do that. If it's a solid business owner, they understand their business and they've done this for a while and they've had online websites and stuff for a while, they'll know it's going to take a while.
Cool. Cory, my only client has 1,000 backlinks. A huge number of them are spammy due to bad SEO company before me. Should I just start disavowing one by one every day?
I have luckily not had to deal with that ever. We've had to clean up some stuff, but not anything that bad. I don't know. We haven't personally had to deal with that, so I don't know what would be the best strategy. I'll leave that to you, Dan.
I mean, I told you guys I told you, Ryan, in the chat yesterday, and Helen said the same thing. If it's ranking right now, I just wouldn't touch it.
Leave it.
I mean, don't kick the sleeping beast. If it's not ranking and the client's unhappy, then what do you got to lose? Go do the disavow job on it and get rid of those links, and don't do it every day. Go do it today.
Right.
Do it all right now. Get off this freaking call and go disavow 1,000 links. You could do it before bedtime. That's the kind of action you need. Well, I know he's scared about losing this client. And it's like, we've been talking about it for 3 days now. And it's like, man, in 3 days, we could have disavowed 30,000 links, if you need to do it. It's going to come down to, I think Ryan's worried that the client's going to leave him. And that's understandable because it sounds like a tough client and they've had some bad stuff happen to their site. But you got to make the business decision at this point. Like, if you don't do anything, do you lose the client? If the answer is yes, then you got to do something. If you don't do anything and you're not going to lose the client because the rankings are so good, then keep it as is and maybe talk to the client about, hey, here's what I want to show you. This company that you worked with before did some bad things. I'm keeping my eye on it. But what I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm going to build you an insurance policy. And the insurance policy is basically me. I'm going to go build another site that is going to be moving through the ranks. So if this was ever to get freaking slapped, all the way out, we got something that's already on the move. And that's why you have a guy like me on your project. But you got to be able to, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, even though I know you're in a tough spot financially and it might be scary, this move you make right now, dude, you got to make moves that are scary. Okay. As an entrepreneur, if you don't, man, then you need to go work for someone. And I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just saying, as an entrepreneur, we got to make hard moves. I make bad decisions all the time, but I had to make the decision. Was it right or not? I don't know, but I had to do it because I'm the entrepreneur. I'm the business owner.
Can't run your business out of fear either. That's something we've learned. Can't run it out of fear. You'll end up messing your business completely up.
Let's see here. How do you go about charging these companies with multiple locations? You charge by amount of cities they were located in. For example, 5 cities times 1,000. How do you come up with that?
No, we took on this big client that we have. We just basically took and looked at what they were expending. We had an idea of what they're expending per month. Started looking at the dollar volume, and then we came up with a number that we felt comfortable with. Like, you got to realize, I've got one staff person that's all she does all day long. That's her job, is just that one client. And then there's probably 7 to 8 of my staff that touches that account every single month. And so we knew going in that it was going to be like, you're not going to charge $500 a location and they'll pay it. It's not for most of those big clients. It's too much money coming in the door. So now if it's somebody that you can go in, like it's a franchise or something, and you're dealing with each separate franchisee, then maybe you could charge $500 a location, or $1,000 a location or something. But you're just going to have to come up with an arbitrary number that you're going to come up out of your head and go, here's what I think it's going to be, and then give yourself some room to move.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same. It's kind of the same answer I was just trying to give Ryan from an advice standpoint, is like, you make the hard decision. You go in there, you defend your price. You have it rehearsed before you go in there and why it's going to be what it's going to be. You make your offer, and then you get ready for the no, knowing that it's coming your way. And then what's your next step? Do you have a plan for plan B when it blows up, or maybe they say yes and you got your deal? It's all about going in there with a plan and being a professional. So two people have asked, like, what are you using from a CRM or from a project management standpoint to help delegate to the staff?
Yeah, we started initially with Basecamp. That's what we did for a pretty good while. Now we use a big program. It's called Autotask. It's a big program. Like, it's hefty. So you better be ready if you're going to jump into it. It's going to cost you a little upfront. It's going to cost you every month.
Isn't it a couple $1,000 a month?
Well, it's about probably right around $100 a user. So that'll give you an idea of what we're paying. So.
Now, I was only up until like the 40K a month mark, but I use Google spreadsheets.
Yeah.
So, I mean, don't think that that's what's going to drive success for you. They're just more organized than me.
It's not me, it's my staff.
Here's a good question. Besides referrals, what form of outreach do you have in place for new sales / clients?
Most of everything that I bring in is through networking. And so I talk to people about what I do all the time. I'm posting on Facebook. You guys that are my friends, you see me post about it. I'll do a live feed about it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got clients that'll post about me, hey, this is what he's done for us this year, or blah, 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 blah. And every time something like that happens, it opens the door to 10 more clients. And so,
Okay. So devil's advocate, I'm brand new. Maybe I'm not brand new. I don't have client number one. Maybe I have my first lead gen site and it's generating phone calls or whatever, but I've never landed a client. Like, how do I do that?
Yeah, what I did, and this is still what I've done to help a couple of JKers. It's been a while now, but I'm not afraid to pick up the phone and call somebody. So if I have a site that's producing, I'll just start calling.
Let's say I'm afraid. I don't like that.
Yeah. If that's something that's a fear to you, man, use your social media. It's probably one of the easiest ways to generate that. Whether you go into local groups within your community, whether you post it on Craigslist, whether you're just posting to your friends, look for somebody that has some kind of connection, whether it's to that niche or to a niche that you might want. When I first started, one of the things I would do is I would post and go, hey, I'm looking for a blah, blah, blah in this city. Like I would ask very specific.
Yeah. Does anyone know a carpet cleaner in San Antonio? Exactly. And 75 people will be like, you got to use my friend George. He's
That's exactly right.
Every time.
Every time.
And then you got ways in. What about, I kind of served up the idea to you, but I see you used to do this all the time. And you talk about, it was your lead gen site and you take a screenshot of CallSling and say,
all the time,
hey, I'm getting all these phone calls. And that doesn't mean you have a client on hand. Does anyone know, anyone could connect me with a limo client? I'm going to give you a bird dog, or I'm going to pay you for the connection. Like, don't forget connectors. There's a lot of people that are friends with a lot of other people, or they have connections in, so think of business owners, a sign shop, right? A sign shop works with freaking every business, right? And they may not have anyone, but maybe you have a lead gen site that's producing. You walk into the sign shop guy who's maybe these companies have spent 10, 20, 30 grand with them. You say, listen, man, this is going to sound really strange, but I built this project. It's generating all these phone calls and all these leads. And I don't know if you might have a business owner in this niche, but I'd be willing to split the profits with you if you could get this in front of them, because I know this thing could be huge for them. Boom. You just went to a connector who already has the relationship. Oh, yeah, let me call Jim right now. He's in my cell phone. Boom, boom, calls up Jim. You got a deal hooked, right? Did you make any money? Did you make as much money as you could have? No, probably not. But now you're in the door with a guy. Now the sign shop owner's going, dude, I could add a whole nother division of my business with this guy, Dan, who is too afraid to call people, and I could just use my Rolodex of business. And there's a lot of businesses that are like a sign shop that work with businesses every day. So take a moment and start thinking about those different businesses in your marketplace, because they'll open the door right open for you, Yeah,
there's connections all around you. Just got to start asking.
All right, let's see what else we got here. How do you deal with content on a top golf-like site? Big companies don't like to have a lot of content on their site. So how do you have the content for the keywords?
Get creative. Sometimes we'll hide them in everything from FAQ pages to testimonials to, we'll get creative. We'll find a place that we can put content, because you're right. A lot of clients are very picky about what they want, but a lot of clients don't realize how important it is. So you have to educate, you got to show them why, and then figure out a way to get that content into the site. Well, even if it's some kind of a page in the back end that's hidden that Google can only see, at least get that content into that site somehow, some way. But we've been able to do it every single time. And Dan said earlier, I mean, it's once you've got a little bit of content on there, it's all about backlinks.
Yeah. So you don't use Facebook. So you don't use Facebook or AdWords in the beginning of your contracts then? So question, because you're basically telling people it's going to be for like a long time. So do you not use any of that stuff, or you just set the expectations up front?
I haven't ran AdWords in probably 6 months. I don't use AdWords for hardly any of our accounts.
Cool.
I do some Facebook ads and that sort of thing now because we can see a pretty huge return in certain niches.
Yep.
But outside of that, no. I mean, if it's a straight up SEO client and I come in and I know that it's going to take a while, I'm just honest with them. It's going to take a while. Like I mentioned this when we were out at the event in June. I've got roofers. I had 30 plus roofing sites at one point. I have like just a few now because it's so sporadic, and it's not something that you're going to run ads and get immediate return on most of the time.
Sure.
And so
it's a longer buying cycle.
It is.
Question, do you create a Facebook page for each location if you're working with a multi-location, or do you create one brand page? How do you?
We have done both.
Both as well.
Yeah. So
I don't think that you have to overthink. It's not that. I'm gonna tell you something that ain't ever gonna be the reason why they write you the big check is their Facebook page. Or it's not gonna be something that ranks you either. It's just another on the list. What exactly do you do each month for SEO clients? I've had people ask me why they need to pay me each month after they are ranked. I've covered this a lot, but I'll let you give your answer.
Mm-hmm. I had an email today that's the perfect answer for that, because I got a client that has been wishy-washy about whether they want to continue with us. We've had them ranked nationally for a couple of terms. And he wrote me earlier today because about 3 weeks ago, I met with him in his office and he said, man, I just don't know that we want to continue this, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, that's fine. Let me explain it to you. I educated them how SEO works, told them that if they don't continue to do their stuff, blah, 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 that it's not going to continue to rank. And so he wrote me today and he said, hey, man, what happened to our SEO? I noticed that we're not ranking nationally for a couple of terms that we were ranking for nationally. And I wrote him back and I said, well, this is exactly what we talked about in your office. I've had everything on hold inside of our business. So we have not been adding the links like we were adding before to your website. We have the ones live that were live, but we have not been adding links to your website. And that's why you've fallen. Your competition now is outpacing what we're doing until we aren't in limbo anymore, knowing whether you're going to continue to do SEO with us or not. And so for me, I use stories like that. I'll just tell people, we've got one account we were ranking nationally #1 for almost a year. We were bringing them about 60 leads a month. And they called me one day and said, we don't want to do business with you anymore. And I was like, okay, you understand what's going to happen, blah, blah. Within 2 weeks, he was number 5 or 6 nationally. And I don't know where he's at now, but he lost that lead flow that he was getting within just a few weeks of us pulling leads.
Yeah. Whether you're serving there's so many different reasons in marketing and advertising that a business might drop off. Like you definitely can't live your life in fear of the what if, to not go and take on an SEO client, but it is crucial that you explain to them because they don't know. It's the equivalent of, us not understanding how a Top Golf is, how the land was bought and the CCNRs and all the stuff that goes into that. We have no clue, right? So if it's not explained correctly up front to these business owners, I would ask the question too as a business owner, if someone like, well, why am I paying you every month? I don't really understand what's going on behind the scenes. So do your best at really educating someone up front about what you do, what goes into it, how you have to build in your influential network, the different stuff that you're going to continue on, how you're going to be monitoring their competitors and seeing where their competitors are starting to make moves, so they don't get crept up on, making sure that they don't get spammed by 1,000 negative backlinks by a competitor that's doing negative SEO against them. And if it does happen, doing the disavow tool, which by the way, Greg gave everyone a good tip. It doesn't take long. Create a TXT file, just a text file, with the domains of each link and send it to Google. And the disavow tool takes a few minutes, and they'll take them down. So, all those different things, if you educate a business owner on all the things that kind of happen online, they're a lot easier to keep, ongoing. It's when they don't understand and they haven't heard from you and you're not a great communicator, and maybe they freaking, they had lumpy oatmeal and their wife cussed them out before they left for the office today, and then they take it out on you, or they got a big $107,000 tax bill like I just got because they said I forgot to pay it last year, which is awesome.
We just got hit with an extra 12 grand we weren't expecting.
Yeah, it's fun. But you never know. And then all of a sudden, you pucker up and you're like, I got to get rid of this expense and this expense and stuff like that. And so that's what you're dealing with business owners, is they're living in the real world just like you are. They have people that they got to make payroll to. They got things that come up. So you do your best by creating relationships, which is what Cory's been telling you guys from the start here. He's like, look, I'll fly out to Louisiana or drive over there and meet with the guy and sit belly to belly and shake hands and kiss babies, whatever. And I'll stay with him. I'll come out and do a whole company event like he's in San Antonio to keep the client happy, right? And those are the things that you got to do, is because relationships trump all in life. Okay, they trump all. You know, think about all the relationships you have and how long some of those relationships have been. You know, the short-term stuff, just the money stuff it's very shallow. You know, so you got to build strong relationships, and you'll keep these clients for a very, very long time. All right, what else we got here?
Communicate, communicate, communicate.
Yep. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm just reading here. Besides social media, what specific events or groups do you go and join to network? Good question.
We are a part of all kinds of stuff in our community now. In fact, I think I'm getting pulled into the Visitors Bureau board or something now. I don't even know. But what you'll find is you start to get to know your banker. They're going to be involved in all kinds of things in your community. And you need to start developing those relationships, because you're a business owner now. You own a business in the community that's bringing value to the community. So get to know your small business development group that's in town. Get to know the everything from the Visitors Bureau to the Chamber of Commerce. Go meet those guys, shake their hands, get to know those people, because they know everybody in the community. I personally am in a small community. We only have about 100,000 people. And so it's kind of difficult because there's not a whole lot of organizations, but you know, the Young Life group that we're a part of, the ministry stuff that we do, I meet people all the time through that. And it's about literally meeting one person that kind of meets another person that meets it. It's like, it'll chain reaction. Once you start to go do those things, you'll start to find that before long, you know, 40 or 50 people, business owners in the community that you didn't know, all from one relationship, all from taking the time to drop in and say hi to one place and say, hey, this is what we do.
Totally. I'm not a member of the country club, but I got invited up for a dinner last week, and all of a sudden I'm sitting around the table with business owner.
Hola.
And yeah, and most of them are old school in a lot of cases. And hey, what do you do? What do you do? Whatever. And that's another place, you know. So just think outside the box. You know, I coach my daughter's basketball team.
Yeah.
I see the truck pull up. You know, and the guy, it's one of the girls on the team, you know, he owns a company, and I noticed that. And it's like, so everywhere you go, you know, whatever you're doing, you can either go and find those not relationships, but connections and groups that you're already part of. So think about the groups, you know, whether it's church or whether it's the country club or whether it's Young Life, you know, whatever it is. Look at what you already are working with and make sure you're not glazing over people that could totally use what you guys know how to do. And make sure you're letting them know. You know, in many cases, guys, if you're just getting started out, go help them for free.
That's what I did.
I do it to this day. Like if someone, I'll get there because I know I can get someone's business going without a shadow of doubt in my mind. I'm like, leave me with it. Let me get some stuff rolling, and then let's talk. I'm not even worried about it because I know they'll come around because they're a disaster. You know, and I know that that's what no one else is going to be willing to do for them. And so it's that results in advance, like we always talk about. So many different things like that, guys, are right in your grips. You just got to go and have the courage to do it, you know? What would happen if another JK is in the same market? Would it be hands off or turn friendly competition? I live in a pretty popular area. I know some JKers live near me. Listen, there's thousands of niches. In addition to that, if someone's in the same niche, guess what? There's 100 other local businesses in that same niche too. So it's not hands off. It's not like just because there's one JK that all the leads go to that one person. Those other 9 businesses or 990 businesses are all getting leads and thriving as well. So go land your deal, worry about yourself, and move on. Do you unplug all your links once they stop paying?
Yep. The ones that I control, they go bye-bye.
Okay, so I think Paul's asking this. I think we kind of brought it up earlier, but what do you use to report progress back to clients? Are you using SEMrush or organic ups and downs? I think you were saying you use just analytics and webmaster tools.
I have learned, you know, one of the things I've learned, especially with so many different clients, is that most of the clients are completely clueless. So you can send them reports until you're blue in the face, but figure out what they want, what they think is important, give it to them. And so if they think the certain metrics are important, give it to them. If they think looking at keywords are important, give it to them. I've also learned something I would highly suggest every one of you do for any of your clients that are bigger. And if you're just starting out, do it even for your $250, $500 months clients. Do a meeting, maybe once a month or once every 6 weeks or whatever with them, and sit down with them. Whether you have to do it through like Zoom like this or Skype, whether you do it face to face, but sit down with them and show them what's going on with their website. You'll keep the client a lot longer doing that than you will just sending them a report every month and going, hey, look at your keywords, or hey, look at your traffic, or whatever.
I love a screencast, but I think you made a good point. Some people might not like the screencasts.
Yeah.
So like everyone's a little bit different. So find out the way your client likes. I mean, I know for me as a business owner, it comes down to really one thing, and that's leads. So a report of leads would be a really good report for someone like me. But I would tell you that up front if you asked me.
That's right.
I would tell you like, look, this is all I'm looking for. Just give me a report of the leads that I got from you. And that's what I want to know. Rankings mean nothing to me. Leads mean everything, because that's what drives my business. Do you have any small town strategies where it's not about ranking because most people don't have a freaking website? I could tell you what I think on a statement like this is it really would depend on, are we talking about service-based businesses? Are we talking about brick and mortar businesses? On service-based businesses, although they might not have a website, they do have a phone, and they understand what a ringing phone is. And so my strategy would be get the phone to ring and tell them that I pinned up their phone number at the local grocery store, and oh my gosh, it gets tons and tons of phone calls because they understand what a ringing phone is. And I wouldn't confuse them with the internet, because maybe that's not their thing, right? If they don't have a website, they probably don't believe in it. So keep them unfocused on the things that they don't understand and maybe don't believe in. Keep them focused on the thing that they do understand, which is that ringing telephone. So that's a strategy, is to keep them focused on that. Now, if it's a brick and mortar, no website, tough, right? So a lot of small town people are stuck in their ways because they've been able to thrive because they are the only show in town, and competition doesn't come knocking at their door too often. And sometimes having that conversation of maybe even showing them another business that was like theirs in a small town, that the competition came to town and wiped them off planet Earth because they weren't prepared for it. Because fear-based sales do work. And so finding that article that coincides with that story, if you're going to have that conversation, may be one way of doing things. Yeah, and then like you're saying, is they don't need a website because everyone in town knows who they are. You may just start fishing outside your town too, right? You may say, listen, this town isn't where I want to play ball because the people are too small-minded, and I need to go fish in ponds where the fish are biting.
Yep.
Instead of banging your head against the wall. I remember in Cottage Grove, Oregon, it was a very small area, it's like 7,000 people. Anytime we'd go and do prospecting, we do the Eugene review strategy down in Cottage Grove and do interviews. It was definitely a different speed of people. They weren't at the same level as, let's say, Eugene, which was only 170,000 people. But Cottage Grove, everyone knew everyone's names. There was that kind of feeling going on. So the hunger wasn't as big as it was. And to live in Cottage Grove wasn't nearly as expensive as it was to live in Eugene, which is only 30 miles away. So the hunger for money wasn't quite as large either. So keep those things in mind. Let's see. I'm working with small town. Let's see here. Chamber of Commerce to teach them why digital is important. Yes, it may not be needed local, but I have 80 business owners who know other business owners who trust me as a digital marketer. The connection value to small town is valuable. Totally. Absolutely. Good point. Those things all exist, and you go in there and you start educating people. You can do it in person. You can do it in these Facebook groups where you're just going in there and giving advice, doing audits for people, taking a look at what they got going, giving them ways that you can help them. Get them a Google review. Go write them a Google review if you've done business with them. So many different ways to drum up business if you really want to put your head down and start drumming up business. I'm going to do like one or two more questions and then kind of get on. So I know Cory's kind of taking some time out of his day to do this for us. So
Big Dros is waiting, man.
It's getting deleted, and it's pretty common. You just keep trying to replace those links. You don't, dude, there's no avoiding backlinks getting deleted. I'll tell you that right now, because you're generally encroaching on someone else's piece of property, and you are taking the chance to give yourself a link. And if they want to get rid of the link, they're going to get rid of the link. The only way to not get your links deleted is own the network where you're placing your links, right? And in the case that they do get deleted, yeah, I would probably go and find another place to get a link in lieu of that, if your rankings are still, being affected by that. First client will bring tomorrow much closer. Any insight on working on a website to promote a mobile app nationally? I mean, it would really depend on the app for me. If I was going to give you advice, I need to know the niche. I need to know what again, just what Cory said. What are the goals? Is it downloads? I mean, like, is it paid app? There's a lot of different stuff that would go into that. Would I be taking that question on if I was? Would I be taking on that client if I was asking that question? Probably not. I know you're right in my backyard, and I know you well enough that I don't know if I never got app downloads, if I would be taking it on personally. What I might do is try to find someone that's had a lot of success in that space, since it is a little bit different than what we're doing here. And I would try to joint venture with them on the deal and learn alongside them so I could take on a deal like that in the future and feel very, very confident. But I don't know if I feel comfortable if I've never been – getting app downloads is not easy, and it generally takes money and a budget. I don't know if I'd go down that direction without having someone that's been there, done that. So I think we're going to close her down for the night, Cory. Thank you. I'm going to have Cory on a few more times. Cory's going to roll out some stuff. He had a little mastermind that he did with a handful of clients back right after Vegas. It was very expensive, and rightfully so. Cory makes good money and his time's valuable, but Cory's working on something to kind of do some scale out training, kind of like how he's built his agency, and make it, like, I think, at a price point that is kind of a no-brainer, and kind of have like a kind of like not the next level of job killing, but kind of like an upper level where if you kind of feel like you've mastered through 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and you're kind of just like, okay, I need more. I'm going to turn it over to a guy that's done more than me and let him kind of have that. But that's not available at this point, but we want to just kind of let you guys know about it. Obviously you can see Cory knows what he's talking about, and I think can be a great continued mentor for you guys if you're going to take your business up to the next level and start scaling it outwards. So we'll kind of talk about that in future weeks. And in the meantime, we'll have Cory on a little bit more often to do more Q&A like this. I think it's really helpful to not just have me yapping at you guys and yelling at you, and have someone like Cory on that has tons of great insights. So with that, thank you, Cory, for jumping on with us. I know everyone appreciates it every time. Don't blow up his inbox if you guys don't mind. With a million questions. I'm going to have him on hopefully next week again for more questions, for you guys. And then see you guys on Thursday. Later on.